Okay, let's talk about it. Sugar warmers versus wax warmers and why they can't typically be used interchangeably with wax and sugar. So there's many opinions out there about this topic, and the root of those opinions are generally correct. So let's dive into the main differences and what's really important at the end of the day. Now, I'm not claiming to be an expert by any means, but I do know a little more than the average Joe because I'm the creator of Mela professional warmers, which I'll talk about a little bit later. So let's start with the sugar warmer. This is the most common. If you buy a sugar warmer from any retailer, you'll probably see a version of this one. They're made specifically for sugar paste. The size of the opening where the container goes in fits most brands and their containers. The temperature of them are lower and they heat with a low and slow strategy. The reason the temperature is lower is because when the temperature is too high, it actually cooks your sugar, which changes the consistency. In other words, it ruins your sugar paste. Sugar is only 3 ingredients: sugar, water, and lemon. But to get a good consistency is a really precise process. And once that consistency is achieved, it's actually very sensitive. If you're a busy sugarist like myself, a jar of sugar is only around for a couple of days. I mainly do Brazilian sugaring, and I can get 30 to 35 clients out of one of these jars. I mention this because I like to turn my warmers off at the end of the day or on weekends or if I'm out of town. This is something most sugar experts will tell you not to do. It's okay that I do it because a jar doesn't sit around very long in my salon, so reheating it a couple of times is not detrimental to my consistency. If you don't sugar a lot and your jar is around much longer, then leaving your warmer on 24/7 is the best for the health of your sugar paste. So sugar warmers are great to have around if you use sugar paste in your salon, mainly because it's almost impossible to reach temperatures that are too high that will ruin your paste. So now let's talk about a traditional wax warmer. Similar to sugar warmers, the size of the opening is made specifically to fit most brands of actual wax. The standard single is a 14-ounce tin. There are large capacity warmers of 5 to 10 pounds of wax that hold, they're much bigger warmers, but I'm going to focus on just the most common, which is the standard 14-ounce. Traditional wax is more forgiving than sugar. It's a lot harder to ruin your wax. Wax warmers are made to heat at a high temperature and quickly. That is for a quick melt, to melt it really quickly at a high heat to be ready for that first client. Just be mindful with that strategy that you then have to wait for the wax to cool down to be a temperature that you could apply to somebody's skin without burning them. I personally prefer the low and slow method. In my experience, the wax becomes brittle if it's melted at a super high temperature over and over again, similar to how old wax becomes a little brittle. So the reason people say you can't use a wax warmer for sugar is because wax warmers simply can't achieve a low enough temperature to be safe for your sugar paste, and vice versa. Sugar warmers can't actually achieve a high enough temperature to actually melt your wax. Another pro tip on wax pots is don't put your wax directly into the container. Why is that? It's best understood by thinking of cooking on a stovetop. You wouldn't pour your soup directly onto the burner. It's meant to be in a pot to diffuse the heat evenly. Also, that would just be a real big mess. So what are the common misconceptions? One of the biggest misconceptions out there, and it could just be you say it long enough, it becomes fact, is people say that the sugar warmers have heat on all sides of the warmer. Well, let's first think about the pot on the stove again. The sides don't remain cool when cooking, so wax and sugar warmers heat on the sides and the source of the heat is on the bottom. I know you're already pushing back. Many people think, no, there's actual sugar coils that heat on the inside of sugar warmers. Now again, I'm no expert here, and perhaps this is different. This is about a 10-year-old warmer. But I'm here to tell you that there is literally no coils. There's nothing touching the sides of these. That's okay. It still works beautifully. These are wonderful warmers. This little thing here is the power to it. So that tells the warmer, okay, heat now and heat to this temperature based on what your dial is set at. So there are warmers out there that claim to heat both wax and sugar. I personally haven't tested them, but I do know it's possible. Why do I know that? Because I created Mela professional warmers that do that. So in order to achieve this, the main differences described above had to be addressed. So number one, Mela adopted the low and slow heating strategy. So what about those people who want to rush into work and have that quick melt for their wax that are going to use this for wax? Well, Mela has a mobile app, so you can turn that on from wherever you are. You don't have to rush in there to be there super early to get this quick melt. No, just turn it on from home or the coffee line. It will be ready when you get there. So Mela's heat is stable. And why is that different than other warmers on the market? Well, in order to have the mobile app feature, that means Mela has a tiny computer on the inside. There is no sugar or wax warmer on the market today that has a computer inside. Because of that, the heat is controlled via computer. It's very precise and it stays there. Since I showed theirs, here's mine. So you can see there is the same power board that runs Mela. This is my little heat pad. This one's a little messy because I've messed with it. But up front here, that is a computer. There's my Wi-Fi chip, and this whole board here that's attached to the dial is a computer, okay? So that is why this one is precise and it stays there. Sugar paste comes in different consistencies, soft to hard. This means temperatures required are lower. We already talked about that. So Mela has a temperature range from low to medium of 30 Celsius to 55 Celsius. That is the correct temperatures for soft sugar all the way to hard sugar, similar to wax. Wax needs a range as well. There's soft wax and hard wax. Medium is 55 C and high is 90 C, and that accommodates all of the wax consistencies. And lastly, Mela fits wax containers, and not all, but the ones that look like this, sugar containers. Other people are gonna say, well, it sits really tall, it's not gonna heat it. The low and slow does work because it heats the sides and the bottom of what's already in there. The heavier sugar in the middle falls to the bottom and creates like this inverted volcano activity. So that is the scoop on what is the difference between wax warmers and sugar warmers. Why is it important? It is very important, and I hope you paid attention. You can achieve, and there are warmers out there that can do both. Mine is one of them, and it's beautiful, and it also has those silicone skins, but that's a whole nother topic. But anyways, that is the scoop on the difference between a sugar warmer and a wax warmer, why they can't typically be interchanged, and there you go. Any questions, reach out to me and let me know. Okay, toodles.